Okay, so this video is going to be of this part on the right that a subscriber requested some help with. I haven't recorded a video in a little while, but I'm going to start recording quite a few soon here, so let's see if I can remember how to do this. But this is our support base, as it was titled in the assignment that this person got, and I think it's a pretty good part to explain a really nice way to use AutoCAD using the XLINE command. So first thing I'm going to do is go to my layer properties up here, and I'm just going to create a new layer just by right clicking in here and going new layer, and I'm going to make a construction layer, and we'll leave 0 as my object layer. All I'm going to do with the construction layer is I'm going to make it a sort of like a gray, whatever one you like. I like to use one of these two grays because they're not as noticeable on the background. I'm going to end up turning this layer off afterwards to hide all the secrets of how I made this thing. So now next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my 0, 0 near the middle of my screen, because the challenge that this person has is that they need to identify an identified point, which is the tangent point of this line and this circle. So what we're going to need to do is kind of base our origin off of the center of this one diameter circle. So first thing I would do in AutoCAD here is I'm going to type in XLINE, as I've talked about in other videos. If you get used to typing in AutoCAD, you're going to be just a million times better, maybe a little bit more than that. So we'll type XLINE, hit enter, and then I like to start at 0, comma, 0, and hit enter. And now that's going to give me my infinite XLINE here. I'm just going to click one there, make an X, make a Y, hit escape. Now you notice I forgot to change my layer, which is a common mistake. I can just select these two, come up here, switch to construction, and then hit escape. Now the advantage of this is now I can kind of locate all of my different things. I've also shown this with the polar coordinate method, where we're going to type in, say I need to figure out where a line is at like a 45-degree angle. I may go L, enter, click, and then, at 3, at 45 degrees, and now that's going to find that location for me. But what I'm going to show you is basically identifying that location by offsetting these X lines, which is a really nice way to do it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find where the centers of my two circles are, because the whole basis of this piece is that there are 3 circles. They're connected by 3 tangent lines, or 3 center points, I should say. And then we're going to trim some circles once we locate them. And then this little guy at the end here, this little, I'm assuming it's probably a rib, even though I didn't see the other view. This little one is just going to be a couple offsets, and I'll be all set to go. So I'm going to go O for offset, hit enter. My first offset to go from the 0 to this top is going to be 2.25. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to select this line. I'm going to move up. Okay, so there's where the 2 holes are located. Now I'm going to assume this part is symmetric because I don't have a center to one of the centers distance. So being that this is 3 and there's no other dimension there, I have to assume it's 1.5 to each side. So I'm going to hit spacebar to get out of the command, hit spacebar again so I can change my number. And I'm going to put 1.5 and hit enter. And I'm going to pick this, move to the right. Now I'll show you another option here. If you don't want to exit the command, so let's say I was still at that 2.25 number. If I select a line and move, see how it shows the dimension? This one's a little bit tricky because if you're accidentally over here or something, it's going to screw up on you. But if I'm moving in a direction and it's clear what side my cursor's on, I can type the number now and hit enter, and it'll do the same thing. So I'm all set with those. I'm going to hit escape, and now I'm going to switch back from my construction layer to my object layer, and I'm going to type C for circle, hit enter, and I'm going to start creating these different circles. So the one down here, I'm going to click right on the center. You notice I'm getting these green Object Snap snaps. Make sure that you have these on right down here. So I'm going to select at my 0, 0, start creating my circle here. The radius of one of them is 0.5. And then I'm going to hit spacebar to repeat my last command. Enter does the same thing. I'm going to click there again. And the radius of my other one is, it looks like, 1. So there's my 2 circles there. I'll hit spacebar again. This one up here, the outside radius is 0.75. I'll hit spacebar again. Click here. Inside radius is going to be half of 0.75, so 0.375. And then depending on what I want to do, you know, I can just go and do the same thing over here, or I can just go CO for copy, hit enter, pick these 2, hit enter again. I'm going to pick the center as my movement point, and then I'm going to move them right over here. Okay, so now I have my centers, and just to show you what we're going to do at the end is I'm just going to go ahead and turn off my construction layer, and you can see I'm left with just the circles. So if you're making a drawing, this is, you know, kind of mimicking the same idea as like drawing on a drafting board, which is what AutoCAD's ultimately based on. So the next thing I'm going to do, and if you haven't done this yourself, this is a new version of AutoCAD I just installed before this video. I'm going to go right up here, and I'm going to hit this little arrow here. This is really key because I'm going to show you a really handy tool that you're going to want. So I like to hit this arrow, come down here, select Show Menu Bar. All right, and if you hit that, that's going to give you all your traditional menus up here, File, Edit, View, all that good stuff. Now where it's really handy is you can go up here and go Tools, AutoCAD, and there's a great toolbar that's super, super handy, especially for parts like this, called Object Snap. All right, now you can accomplish this with Object Snap as well, just by going under here and selecting what you want it to be snapping to. All right, so I could snap to the tangent, for example. So if I click on that, now my object snap, if I hit L enter and I start hovering over here, it can be a little wonky with like trying to pick what you're going to actually want. So what I do here instead is I like to go Tools, Toolbar, AutoCAD, and then Object Snap right here, which is a nice little toolbar that I can then dock wherever I want on the screen. I'll just move it right here so you can see it real easy. And there's a nice tangent tool right here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to type L and hit enter. I'm going to pick tangent, and then I'm going to pick the outside here. Now you can see I'm attached, and regardless of what direction I go, it's going to keep my line tangent. Now the next very important thing is don't just come down here and think it's going to do the same thing, because it's going to snap to the middle by default. So if I go tangent again, just to say that's the only way I want to snap to something, you can see, regardless of where I pick, okay, and you do have to be careful. If I pick up here, it's going to make these tangent like this, but you have to be in the general correct quadrant, and if you are, you select here, you can see I now have a nice tangent line. So I'm going to hit spacebar, spacebar again. I'm going to do the same thing up top, even though I kind of know where those tangent points are. I guess I could just click and click like so. But if I didn't know, or those were different size circles, I could do this tangent thing again. Now I'll show you one more tool, you know, just for fun, so you have it in your arsenal. Mirror can be really handy, so I can go MI. That'll give me mirror. I'm going to select this line because I know that this is a symmetric part. If it's not symmetric, obviously don't do this. Go through, create your line, make it tangent. So I'm going to select it, I'm going to hit enter, and then it says specify my mirror line. Now here's the advantage of that XLINE method. I now have a mirror line right down the middle here. So I'm just going to pick the center, I'm going to draw it up, and you can see based on where I draw my next point, it's going to mirror it. So I'm going to come right up here and click, and then it says, do I want to erase the source object? That could be like if you're flipping something, but you want to get rid of what you were originally flipping. But the default is no, because that's more common. So I'm just going to hit enter, and now I have my full shape. Now before I actually create or start trimming and everything and turn my construction lines off, I'm even going to create this rib right now. So what I'm going to do, that rib is 0.375 in width, which means it's about 3/16 to either side, and then it's 1 from the top. So I'm going to go O, enter. I'm going to type 1, hit enter, and offset this down. Okay, so obviously I'm going to have to trim this one later. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select this side, and I'm going to type 0.1875, just 3/16. That way, I'm going to do the same this way, 0.1875. Okay, now I'm going to hit escape. Now here's where your layer colors can really matter. So like one thing that I commonly have my students do is in their layer properties, I may have them use much more dramatic differences in color. So I'm going to switch, just to make it obvious, my object layer to like magenta, for example. All right, so you can see right now, I can clearly see what is an object line and which is a construction line. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create with my object layer the other sides by typing L and hitting enter and connecting the intersection points for my rib. So I'm going to go from there to there, hit spacebar again, and there to there, and then I can hit spacebar or escape to get out of there. Now I just have to do some trimming. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to turn off my construction layer rather than have to erase all those lines or whatever. Okay, just turn it off. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my drawing, type TR for trim, hit enter. I'm going to get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of that. Same on the other side. Go through this methodically. If you have a lot of CAD experience, obviously you can probably see right away what you want to trim and what you don't. I'm going through it slowly because this is a tutorial video. So I'm going to go through and get rid of this arc, and get rid of this arc. Okay, and you can see now I have my full shape. All right, now to identify this little point right down here, all right, from my friend who requested this video, I'm going to go DIM LIN, which is a linear dimension. I'm going to hit enter. I'm going to go from the center here. I'm going to come right down here to that intersection point. Now the reason I put dim linear is that that's going to give me horizontal and vertical dimensions. So as I pull this down, there's my dimension of where that point is. All right. If I was to just type in dim, which is great, or use the auto dimension up here, there's a good chance I might accidentally pull out an angular dimension. So that's how you would create this view in AutoCAD. I hope that it helps, and I hope that this helps my friend who requested this to solve their problem. Thanks for watching my video. Hope you check out some of the other ones.